Well, hey, good evening, everyone, or good Saturday. If you're watching this on Saturday, hope you're all doing well. Wanted to come to you and just share just a quick little devotional thought. In this season of a lot of free time we've had, I've had the chance to read through several books of the Bible that I wasn't as familiar with and study through those. And even in my seminary classes, we've I just finished a class called hermeneutics, which is one of like the most Christianese words you can have, right? Like whoever uses that word in a regular sentence, hermeneutics. Like you don't even think it sounds like a real word. But that's the class I just finished. Basically, that's just the study of how to read the Bible. And a lot of the time in this class was focused on how to read like Old Testament narrative and prophets and things like that. And one of the prophets that I've really just come to have a strong love for reading is Jeremiah. And a lot of people think about Jeremiah 29:11. For another plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, not for evil but for good. Everybody uses that verse. A lot of times we use that in a context, I feel like, but a lot of people like that verse. But the verse I want to share with you guys today is actually just a few verses ahead of that. It's Jeremiah 29:7. So if you know the context of Jeremiah, the Israelite people had been exiled. They had been taken from the promised land and cast out into the world. And many of them were struggling with that. Like they were wondering why God had not lived up to His promise to keep them in the promised land, or had not continued to bless them. But for most of the people, and especially the prophets, it was very clear to them why Israel was being exiled from the promised land. Like they were very much aware of the shortcomings of the nation of Israel and why this exile would happen. So this is what the context that Jeremiah is speaking into here in verse 7, where he says, "But seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare." I mean, that's such an encouragement to the people. It would have to be, right? Like for people who were doubting God's plan in their life, for the prophet Jeremiah to speak to them like, "Hey, like my plan for you is to place you exactly where I'm sending you." It will let them know that this exile was very intentional and was for the glory of God, as is everything. And a lot of times we need that reminder too, right? A lot of times we find ourselves in situations where we don't necessarily understand why God has put us in a certain spot, or we don't understand what exactly is happening in life at that moment. I think all of us have been there. Some of you may even be there now. But I hope this word of Jeremiah encourages you that no matter where you're at, the Lord has placed you there very specifically and very intentionally for the purpose of glorifying Him. And I love what He says. He says, "For in its welfare, you will find your welfare." There's a command that's kind of inherent in that, right? Like we're not just where we are just to endure it. We're not just where we are just to ride it out until the next thing comes along. We're there to work for the benefit of the people that surround us, right? Like we're there to promote the gospel. We're there to take the gospel message to the place where God has planted us, and sow those seeds and water those seeds and allow the Holy Spirit to come along and reap the fruit of that harvest. Some of you guys may not understand necessarily what the Lord has been doing in your life through this season. Some of you guys may be doubting His hand is on your life at this time. But I just hope this encourages you tonight that no matter where you are, no matter what season of life you may be in, God has you there for a purpose. And the purpose is not just to ride it out. It's not just to endure. It's not just to hang out until the next thing comes along. But it's to be actively seeking the welfare of the people that you're around and the city that you are in. I mean, for those of you that are in Russellville, you can look around and see the need around us daily. There's so much need in this city and so much need for the gospel in this city. So, man, what an incredible testimony it would be for us to be obedient to the Lord and promote the welfare of our city by taking the gospel to the city of Russellville. And in the promoting of our city's welfare, our welfare will be increasing as well. So if you're doubting God's work in this time, by being obedient where you are, He will continue to grow you and sanctify you into the believer He would have you to be. So again, Jeremiah has become one of my favorites to read, and this verse is such encouragement, and also speaks really to the need that is around us. And I hope you guys are aware that there is such a need in our community to take the gospel into the darkness. So guys, I hope this word has encouraged you tonight. or tomorrow if you watch on Saturday. Hope that you're continuing to do well. And as always, if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to Brother Joe or myself. Love you guys. We'll see you soon.